I know.
There you
So,
go. Hey,
hi. Hey,
guys.
everyone. Hey, Nereyda.
Hey, Sarah. Welcome to
Hey.
Tuesday and another episode of the Relationship Corner.
Yes, we are ready for this. And you had an amazing idea on what we were going to talk about, and I love it.
Yeah.
So,
So today's topic, right? It's going to be about parenting, parents, those roles, right?
mhm,
That we have sometimes, even if we don't have kids as guardians or whatever it is. It'd be
mhm,
so cool to have a conversation about how the connection with ourselves could really come through and have like ripple effects when we are in those roles. And
right.
I don't have any kids, but I have raised my niece and I work with a lot of kids, and even in the role that I do for work, I have to educate parents
hmm
on like how to connect with themselves, but also how to show up for their kids, to best help support them. So I'm like, oh my God, this would be like a really good conversation to have. And I know
Yeah.
you're a mama, so I would love to
Mhm,
hear like your points of view too.
right. Yes. I'm a mom. I have three girls. I have two stepdaughters and one regular daughter. I have one biological daughter and two stepdaughters. So I have three girls. I don't like saying they're my step girls. I say they're my girls. They're my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And I, to be honest with you, never imagined myself having kids when I was little or younger. I was never that like mommy, like, oh, I want to be a mom. I can't wait till I have kids. Like that was never really in my mind. I thought maybe I was just going to be a career girl and not do the kid thing. And
Yeah.
um, I,
Well,
I
did
don't
you
know.
open up to have like a kid to be a
What was
mom?
the question? Sorry, what was it?
Yeah, like what made you like
Oh,
open up
what
to parent?
Well, as I started to grow up a little bit and go through some of my own experiences, and it's funny. I watched that show. I love that show, Dr. Phil, and I love Nanny 911.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I used to watch those shows all the time, like well before I was a mom. And
Uh-huh.
I'm not judgy or anything, but I'm just like, oh, like I would get some like tips and tricks and stuff on
Take it under your belt.
yeah, I'm like, "Oh, that actually makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense." Like, I probably could do that. Like, I think I can create like a really cool like little human and like whip it
Oh,
into shape and make it badass and like I think I could do that. And you hope for the best when you have one, right? You're like, "Oh God, like I hope it's easy,
yeah,
to
yeah.
mold." But yeah, I think when I was with my ex-husband when we were together, it was a conversation that we had, and I felt like I was in a good place at that time to produce and have a child. And I was young enough still, and I was like, oh, this is the time. If I'm going to do it, now is the time, and I can create my little mini me and my little version. And I was fortunately, I had a great childhood.
Mhm.
You know, I agreed with how my parents raised me. I feel like it did well. I wasn't difficult. I didn't think I was too difficult or anything. And
Uh-huh.
so I don't know. I just felt like it was the right time for me, and
Okay.
it was okay. I didn't really have anything else holding me
Yeah.
back, and it was
So you
pretty
kind of felt
settled.
like a knowing, right? Like a conviction almost,
Mhm.
like, okay, this is just it right
Yeah,
now.
like if I'm gonna do it, now's the time to do it. It was just kind of like that. I'm not against kids. I'm not like, oh, I don't want to have kids. No, it wasn't
Yeah.
like that.
Me.
I always felt like I probably would have kids sometime. I just thought maybe that was just what you're supposed to do. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I
Well,
definitely realized that I wanted to make sure that I take care of me though, like,
yeah.
make sure I'm good. Because if I bring in like another human, I didn't want to rub off on them in any kind of negative way. So that was actually kind of the start of my divorce. Really, like later on is I decided that I'm kind of losing who I am, and I'm like losing some stuff, whatever it is that was important to me. And not the best version of me was coming out, and I was afraid that was going to rub off on my daughter. So I decided
Okay.
that's best for my child to be from a broken home than to be living in one, and therefore there was my
Yeah.
divorce. But now I'm
I think
able to.
that yeah, like, I've heard that too, where in relationships, sometimes it's better to, like, get divorced because then you get the best of each parent, like, when they're happy, when they're
Mhm,
fulfilled, right?
right.
Yeah, people try to stay because they don't want their kids to be from a broken home, but it's like the parents are unhappy, they're, like, drained, they're, like, very reactive, and it's not. you know?
Yeah, and my daughter's 7, and I actually have conversations with her, and I talk to her like I'm talking to you. Like, I don't baby talk her, I don't I tell her the truth. She hears the truth of things, and, she doesn't, like, details or anything like that, but I
Yeah.
definitely tell her, like, "You are so lucky that you have mom and a dad, and we love you, we're here for you, we're always gonna be here for you, and I am so sorry that you're not together, like, we're not all together in one unit." I go, "But you know what? You are more lucky in the position that you are now because we're happy people. So you're getting the best versions of me." So exactly what you just said, like, you're getting the better me, you're getting a better dad, because when we're together, we kind of, and that's not healthy. Like, you don't want that. Like,
What
that's
do you
not
think
a place to be raised. So,
Yeah, how do you think, like, being a parent or, like, how do you think, like, connecting to yourself, like, how does that ripple effect work when you have kids? Because one of the thing that pops up for me, like, with this topic is that, like, patience pops up, right? Where it's like if you connect with yourself and you know yourself, patience can come through, and that, like, has a ripple effect when you do have little ones or when they're growing up. But, like, as a mama, right, like, I'm curious to ask you, like, what is the connection of the relationship with yourself? How's that interconnected as, like, showing up as a mom?
like with, I treat my daughter, or I raise my daughter, like, with what seems right in that moment, and I talk to her and I tell her all the things that I feel like she needs to hear, she needs to know, based off of, like, um not like, "Oh, you need to do this, Ava, because I said so," that kind of a thing. Like, I learn best in my life by, understanding the world. I'm an explorer, like, of life. Like, I wanna know why. Like, that's my thing. Like, why are we here? Why is the sky blue? Why
Yeah.
is my hair randomly orange? I mean, it was I don't know, like, I wanna know why. Like, why everything? Why? So, that's kind of like how I am with my daughter. Is I teach her and my other 2 girls why things are the way they are, because that's how I process and I learn. I need
Uh,
to know why things are, and I need to understand everything. So, um, it took me a while to learn that about myself, because I used to just kind of let things just kind of go, and I didn't really fully understand why things were happening the way they were, and it turned into a lot of, like, more resentments and, like, frustrations, and then I ended up feeling like I was being chipped away, or like I wasn't my full
yeah,
authentic self, and unfortunately for me, I was being pulled down, but I realized it, and after having a small little baby,
mhm,
I that's when I realized it, and I'm like, "Oh shit, like, I don't want my daughter to end up having those issues. I want her to understand as much as she can all things, so then that way she could be more methodical with how she goes about her life. So she
yeah,
can think about it ahead. So she's not just seeing what's right in front of her. She can kind of see things a little bit more ahead, and she can make better decisions and choices." So I explained to her why I need her to do what I need her to do, or what this means, and be real with her. There's no
yeah. So
any
then
of
it
that fake
so what it
stuff.
so what it sounds like is, like, the more you become honest with yourself and
Mhm.
truthful to yourself, the
Yes.
more it has ripple
Yes.
effects as to, like,
Yes.
you're teaching your girls that, right? Like, to
Yes.
be
Yes.
honest, to be trustworthy.
Honest with yourself, and your
Yeah,
yes, your true authenticity in your soul. Like, who
yeah,
are you? And that's
yeah,
what I'm trying to teach them too. Like, who are you? And then that's what, when you're going to sparkle. And then that way you can surround yourself with those types of people that are going to uplift you, and, that kind of a thing. So that's how I feel like I'm in the right place to be a mother, because I know I can instill
yeah,
those in my kids. So then that way they're not having to follow the same footsteps of trying to figure it out, when I can tell them why now, and not have to figure it out on my own, or have them figure it out on their own.
yeah, as
So,
they get older, it feels more like when I was in my early 20s, I had, like, that dream of, like, "Oh, the house and the car and marriage and the white picket fence."
yeah.
The more I got older, like, the more I decided I didn't wanna have kids, and it's only been recently where I've been open to it,
Mhm.
and I think, like, the older I get, the more I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad that I'm waiting," because like I look back, right? And it's like, oh, if I were to have a kid in my early 20s, I would have been like impatient.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I didn't know boundaries. So what would I have taught my child about boundaries?
Mhm.
You know, and with my niece, like I have taken care of her since she was born, like on the weekends and stuff, and even like
Mhm.
during the week and whatever I learn, like I try to teach her. Like boundaries is a big one, right? So I remember there's been scenarios where she's had certain like snacks and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
one, and she was like, no. And then my parents or like her mom are like, but you have to share, da, da, da. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like it's boundaries. Like she doesn't want to share, and that's okay. And it's
Mhm.
so funny because I've heard her like talk with like my family where she was like, no, like I don't want to. And then my parents will question her and she'll be like, well, my tia says that I can say no, so it's a no. And it makes me so proud, right? Because it's like now she's going into like her teenage phase and it's like cool, like there's been a seed that's somewhat planted in her heart that it's okay to say no and not to feel bad for it.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
have that like when I
wonderful.
was her age. Like I didn't know how to say no. It was always a yes, right?
Yes.
But one of the
Yeah.
things that I've also, like, learned, I think, in my job is that I see how many parents are not focusing on the connection with themselves, and they
Mhm.
give, like, their life to their kids, which, again,
Yeah.
I can talk too much from experience because I don't know what that's like to have your own kid and to, like, give your life to your kid, but I can see it as an observer how stressful that could be, and when I go in there, it's always like this practice of like, okay, well, are you talking to somebody too? Like, do you have your own support system? Like, no, I don't. Okay, like you need to find your support system. You know, like your child can be your support system, you know,
Yeah.
or it's like, okay, like cool, every second is dedicated to your child, like great. But like, what about yourself? You know,
Mhm.
like self-care routine do you have for yourself? And sometimes they don't have any because they're showing up as wives and as moms and it's like practice to like teach them like, hey, it's okay to step away for like an hour, you
Yeah.
know, focus on something that you want to do.
You're completely right, and that's I've noticed that as a mom myself because I'm around other moms at the Ava school or the kids' school, and I could see it. I see them, going
Yeah,
here for their kids, and it's like, is that? I mean, if that's what they want because that's their true inside their heart, and that's their drive is to be a mom, and that's what they want to
yeah,
do, and that's great, but what about you? And that's kind of the whole thing is you have to make sure that you look after yourself, because I've said this many times before, if you're not good for you, then you can't be good for anybody else that relies on you. So if
yeah,
you're just kind of like just doing your daily thing and you're doing your whatever and you don't have anything for you, then
yeah.
you have no batteries, you have no more juice to give to anybody else because now you're slowly depleting yourself.
And
So
that's what
it's finding yourself.
yeah, and it's what you were saying, sometimes you could build resentment, right? Like
Totally.
I could see like as an observer how parents grow more stressed, like more
Yeah.
overwhelmed, and I think because they're so committed to this energy being poured to their kids, like they grow more controlling. You know, and it's like, hey, like at some point you kind of have to like step back and it's okay. And like one of the things that I remind myself too as I become older and maybe like kids might be a thing when a little bit in a couple of years or whatever is like, okay, like kids are here, but they're not here for me. Like one time I heard this quote, and it's like a spiritual thing that I heard where it's like, oh, kids come through you as a channel, but they're not here for you.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like it's like God,
Yeah,
the universe is the one that decides to have this soul come into this life, and you're just here to help it walk through this life, not to
absolutely.
like make it how you want to make it or to form it however you think is right. Like, you know, in those ways of control. So I thought it was very interesting when I heard that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It becomes like
And
attached.
yeah, I'm here. I love the fact that my kids, when we have this family discussions, or when I'm telling them like, hey, it's time to do your laundry, or like you need to do this, you need to do that. I made sure I let them know, you do realize that when I tell you these things, girls, like I'm not telling you this because I have some like, um, you know, ego thing and I just want to tell you what to do all the time because it makes me feel inflated or something, because I'm the
Yeah,
mom. No, I'm here as a guidance for you, and the whole point for me to be here is to teach you the next steps of life, to be a productive member of society.
yeah,
So I started that very early on with Ava, about responsibilities. I mean, diapers age, just obviously things that she was capable of doing. Not like, I'm not making her like, clean the bathroom or anything like that in diapers, but, just little things, showing her that she can help mommy, like, hey, can you hand me the cup and let's pour your juice? Like I do it with her, like, just showing her things, and it's teaching her responsibilities early on. So then, and then every stage up, she got more and more and more responsible. And so now guess what? Like this little kid can like do so much. And now I do have more time for me because I'm not wiping her ass.
Yeah.
So I can do things for me and then she can do things for her. So it's like a win-win, So I'm making sure that my parenting with her, it was in my interest because it's helping me in the long run, but it's also helping her be successful in her life. So she isn't needy and needing me to do all things at such a, as she grows up, she's pretty capable.
Right? Yeah, like it's like you're teaching her independence too.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, it's for everybody. It works for everybody. And now our household is fluid. Like everything flows very well. Everything stays in check. Everybody knows you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this things. I mean, yeah, of course there's going to be like little eye rolls here and there,
Yes.
Because you're getting older and that's just the age. But at the same time, it's everybody has a knowing of what it is that they all need to do. And they know that this household is not being ran just by me. It's not like, oh, mommy will do it or Sarah will just do it. It's like, no. This is a team effort. This is a family effort. As the house gets ran by all of us. This is our family home. So we all need to respect it, and we all have our responsibilities, and it's teaching you the next stage of life as well. So it's not just me needing you to be my slave. No, because it's a balance in this house. Everyone has their things that they do, and it's very balanced. So I'm not taking the load of all the things because yes, I will get resentful and my husband probably won't like me very much. And that's not fair to him either. You know what I mean? So communication is really important. And that's another thing that being a mom and, I'm a wife, that's something that's huge is communication.
Well, I think it also falls on, because I can imagine it being hard for mothers who like still hold on to the belief of like what that role is in terms of like a housewife and a mother and just like having to give. So I'm sure it's like really hard to like break the cycle or to like change the behavior, but it's true, right? It's like it takes a lot of work to like communicate and to break the role and to like ask your kid and to like ask your husband for support, because I think that's what it is. It's like the support. And I was reading a book once and it talked about like rheumatoid arthritis, because my mom has that, right? And I looked it up, and one of the things that I found is that like I think it's like more than 50 or 75% of women get rheumatoid arthritis in their older ages, and what it means is that they're resentful because they give, and they're playing like this role. And it was like, oh, like that's crazy, right? Because it's like it's not talked about how they don't want to do it or how they need support or how whatever it is, right? It's just more swallowed and they just show up. And it's easy because even in those spaces, like we give them such praise, like, oh my God, you're such a super mom. Like, oh my goodness, like how do you do it all? And I feel like it's wonderful, but it would be so
But deep down, they're screaming inside.
Exactly.
Deep down, they're screaming inside. They're not happy.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to like open up those conversations where it's like, if you don't want to do it, then like, that's okay. Like totally speak up.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
and I totally, so many scenarios like at home, because my parents have like that dynamic where my mom's very like old traditional and my dad too. And it's changed a lot over the years, but I've like spoken up with like for my mom, because instances are like dishes being dirty, right? And my mom sometimes doesn't want to wash them. And it's fine. Like sometimes I'll do it. But there have been times where my dad has mentioned like, hey, we can't leave dishes like overnight because it's like bad juju. And first of all, like my dad is aware of that. And I'm like, that's super cool. Yeah. But then he expects us to do it. So there's been so many times where I've been like, oh, you don't like it? Okay, then it's your turn to like wash the dishes. And like he'll stay quiet and you can tell him getting like super mad.
I like your dad. I can't have dishes in my sink.
Yeah. No. But it's like it's like 8 p.m. Like we're not going to bed yet. Like it'll get done, but not by the time you go to bed. Because my mom and I are really anal when it comes to cleaning. But same thing, it's kind of like if it bothers you right now before you go to bed, like why not wash them yourself?
Yeah.
You know? But again, like my mom won't say anything, and it's that very like role of like I'm the housewife,
Yeah.
you know, and
I mean, and it can work for some people and they might be okay with it, and that's to each their own. I just feel like we're kind of getting into that place now in life or in the world that women are starting to speak up, or people are starting to speak
yeah,
out and speak up because we're on social media now. We're communicating, we're
yeah,
reaching out, and we're voicing ourselves, and people are like, yeah, 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 like, yeah, I feel that way. I'm not alone. Like, I
yeah.
get it. I get it.
So
And it's
mhm.
yeah, no, and like I'm gonna just with the dishes thing, like that was
Yeah.
actually kind of a thing because I did the dishes all the time and I can't stand having dishes in the sink. I don't like to go to bed with dishes in the sink because I like to wake up in the morning and have a clean sink so I can have my coffee, or I drink green tea now, but like I can have my morning, and it's like I'm up first
Yeah,
before everybody else, and it's nice. The first place I go is the kitchen, and
yeah.
it's nice not
Yeah, it's
having
so nice. Yeah.
yesterday's stuff because it is it's not karma. It is a feng
Each
shui
way.
thing. It's
Yeah,
clearing. It's like, okay, the day is done. I'm going to close the chapter of yesterday and I'm going to start it,
yeah,
get it ready for the next day.
yeah,
It's a peaceful thing. So I understand that completely.
yeah.
However, I did have to learn because I am controlling. I'm not controlling in a like I'm not controlling in a mean way. I'm not a mean person like you. I'm not like that. But I do have some controlling tendencies, and some of that has to do with some of my past PTSDs that I've gone through that I'm working on. And it's little
Okay.
things, and little things. When I say that, it's like dishes. Okay, it's not like I'm controlling to people.
Yeah,
But I do like to be. I like structure. I like ritual. I like to know what's to come. I do like that. So my husband had to help me a little bit with the dishes. So we have one of those like dryer racks and
okay,
like do the dishes, and like I would put them in the dryer rack and then I would dry them and then I would put them away. And he's like,
okay.
maybe try just putting them in the dryer rack and then like they let them drip dry, like, and I was like, oh, I can't do that, like it bothered me so much. But I slowly started to kind of, now I'm healed from it, and now I'm
Yeah,
easily able to stick it in the dryer rack. And I'm like, well, now in the morning I can just put them away. They're dry. Like it's okay. Like I'm willing to fold a little bit. So
yeah,
that's me kind of like, you just kind of have to find your balance a little
yeah,
bit. You don't have to be so much on this side or so much on this side. It's like
yeah.
balance. Like I'm getting what I want still. So
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanna share too, because I know, like, some people are watching now and some people are gonna be watching later, and just, like, if you're a mom, if you're, like, a parent and you're in those spaces, it's like, get curious with, like, what you want or how you need support or what you need. Like,
yes,
it's okay to speak up. Like, it's okay to ask for help or ask for support, even in things that you think that it should be your job.
yes.
You know, because
And
I know
I,
my mom too,
yeah,
like, she's come a long way where even with dinner, right? Like, she works in the evenings, and now she'll speak up towards my dad where it's like, "I'm not gonna cook. Like, go buy me
good.
dinner out," you know, and
Yeah,
he will or whatever, and it's like, "Good for you, mom." Like, you shouldn't be,
good.
like, going to work and then coming back and cook, right? So it's like, I'm proud of her too because she's come a long way, and my dad will, like, listen. So it's one of those, like, okay, sometimes it's gonna be a little rough to, like, break those patterns, but again, it goes back to, like, as a parent, like, what do you need support in? Like, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And if you need
Husband,
help, reach
like,
out to us,
yeah,
like, we'll guide you through it.
it's like husbands, like you want me to be happy and positive. Like I need a little help, but I'm not
Yeah,
asking for you to do all things. It's just like, let's find the balance here.
yeah.
So
But that
ask
also
for
goes
help.
back to that
Yeah.
connection with yourself, right? Like,
Yes.
turning it back to that because it's like that connection with yourself is being aware of, like, those needs, of where you want support, of maybe where resentment is growing, right? Of where maybe things are not really joyful to do for the family. Right? So it's like it goes back to that connection. I'm pretty sure we can do like a whole other conversation with like men too, right? Like men and women in their roles. But
Yeah.
definitely going back to like connection
Yeah.
with yourself and parenting. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that I've learned since now my daughter's going to be in second grade, so she's still new and being in school and stuff. And
Uh,
I've finally have told Ava's friends, I said, I am a new me. And I
uh,
am finally coming to that realization that I cannot do it all. I
Yeah.
don't want that
Yes.
super mom
Yeah.
sticker or badge or whatever. I don't want that. I don't need that. These
Yeah.
moms that are like in the classrooms every single day doing all the things, I am not that mom. I'm
Yeah.
not. And I'm okay with it. And if
Yeah.
I have an issue and I need help, guess what? I have phone numbers on my phone and I will text a mom and be like, hey girl, I'm sorry. Like I'm running behind. Like, can you drop Ava off for me? Yes, we do for each other. Like
Yeah.
it's okay to ask for help. And
Yeah.
that's huge for me. And that has cleared me so much because now I know I have people backing me up and I'm backing them up. So we have each other's back. I don't want to be doing all things
Yeah.
because I'm important too.
Yeah.
So I make sure I put me first. Like the first thing I do in the morning is I ground, I meditate, and I exercise.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody can do that because of their work schedules. I can. So I make sure I do those 3 things in the morning because I'm a whole human and I'm a better version of myself and I can be better for everybody during my day.
Yeah.
If you can do one of those things one time a day, maybe after work, or you do it and you have no time at all, and all you have is to sit on the toilet and close your eyes for 30 seconds and take some 3 deep
Whatever
breaths,
works.
then do it because that is for you.
Yeah. It's exploring like what works best for you that would help you ground or get started
So
for
then
the
that way you're more centered and then you're more clear to be able to go like, hey, I am important. And I do want to ask for help because, oh, here's my dog. Sorry.
huh.
Hey. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
one of those things. It's like you are important, and that's what I've learned. I've learned to do for me first, really, ultimately, and then everybody else gets the best of me.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
Goodness.
I
Okay.
think we're pretty good on our time, right? Like we're on point.
Sure.
Yep.
Yes. If you guys have any questions, like always, like feel free to definitely reach out. It's a really good conversation too. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Parenting, it's
It's common
everybody
too.
has their own ways.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
But I
okay,
think
so
yeah.
definitely connect or come back, right? The next Tuesday. Not next Tuesday,
The
but
Tuesday after next Tuesday.
yes, and we'll be here. Yeah. Aw, that's so cute.
Okay. Well, you guys have an amazing rest of your day. It was so good to see you, Nereyda. Your earrings are bomb. I love them. So maybe next time I'll wear my little lollipops.